Thanks for joining me on Fear No Art. My name is Elysabeth Alfano. Usually I go behind the scenes with an artist in their studio, but today I'll be speaking with Michael Darling, Chief Curator of the Museum of Contemporary Art. Michael, thank you for meeting with me. I've been wanting to speak with you ever since I came to the museum a couple weeks ago and I saw Pandora's box, Joseph Cornell Unlocks the MCA collection.
Well, thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll be able to walk through the galleries as we talk. But I think it was a show that really had multiple agendas in mind. I mean, I wanted to, on the one hand, show how an artist like Joseph Cornell, who was active in the 30s and the 40s, is still relevant to artists today and still relevant to our artistic dialogue today. I also thought that there were lots of interesting connections to be made between Cornell's work and other things in our MCA collection.
We are in front of an Andy Warhol. Please tell me, why is this one of your favorite pieces?
This is one of those fantastic teaching tools that we have at our disposal here at the MCA. It's a 1962 Andy Warhol called Troy Diptych. And the thing that I like about it is the image of Troy is kind of repeated over and over and over again. You can see it silk screened on there, so it has this sense of kind of a mechanical reproduction that's going on and on and on, which at the time, you know, I think alluded to a growing kind of media society, but nowadays it's just as relevant, if not more so. And I think even today, you know, if you were to substitute Kim Kardashian in here for Troy Donahue, you get the sense of, why is this person sort of showing up in every tabloid, every magazine? And there's something neat about how this degrades too. Like, you have some nice clear images, but then there'll be too much ink, and you get the sense almost of this image or this idea wearing out almost.
Bad Xerox copy.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, in 1962, it's pretty amazing to think that Warhol was already tapped into this idea that now has become a defining factor in our culture.
You mentioned something, sort of bringing a young artist next to an Andy Warhol, and I wonder, is that something that the museum tries to accomplish in supporting new artists?
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of our jobs is not only to take care of older works, put them in a historical framework that makes sense and tells a story about where art has gone, but then also to look for those new young artists that are working today and bring them into the museum. We're the place where we can take that risk and show them for the first time.
So what is your top priority for people when they come to the museum? That they learn, that they feel, that they relax? What connection, at what level are you hoping to make for them?
I'd say that maybe the primary idea is really to suggest that contemporary artists are dealing with the same everyday issues that all of us deal with. They're dealing with the politics, they're dealing with the economics, they're dealing with the social and cultural issues that all of us think about, struggle with, and then they're just dealing with those things in visual terms. I think, you know, sometimes contemporary art gets a bad rap for trying to trick people, pull the wool over your eyes, do some kind of stunt, and when you really get to meet the artist behind it, you recognize how earnest this is that they're doing. They're not trying to trick people, they're trying to find a way through history to make a little breakthrough of some kind. But one thing that I also think about the role that the museum has today too, is it's a place where you are allowed to have questions and allowed to kind of not have all the answers. And when you're walking down Michigan Avenue, you understand the codes of commerce and you understand what people are wearing. But when you come into a museum, that we want to kind of give people the freedom to stand in front of something, not know exactly what it is, and then allow that self-reflection.
How important is it for you to connect to the general public as opposed to the art collecting public?
I mean, for me it's really important because I don't want contemporary art to just be a niche activity. I mean, I think so much of this work speaks to all of us and to our general kind of cultural, social condition. To me, it just defeats the purpose to obscure it with all kinds of language that's difficult maybe, or ideas that are too difficult. I mean, these things are complicated for sure, but I think there are some simple, clear ways to start to engage with them. This is work by Robert Rauschenberg from 1963. And again, like the Warhol, I think it's amazing to think that he's making a painting here, but using mechanical processes again. And so there are things that are happening where he's slamming different images together. There's a chaos to this picture that really, again, resonates with how we process the media world today, I think. But he's even allowing things like here, this almost looks like a printer that's glitched and is streaking across the bottom half of his shirt there. You see little registration marks, so you know that you're starting to move away from a hand-painted object, even though there is hand painting going on, and in a way he's even kind of circled the hand right next to this more mechanically printed area. So I think
severed hand almost.
Well, yeah, a severed hand, and this is 1963, and we have John F. Kennedy here, and we've got space travel and an astronaut kind of re-entering maybe the Earth's orbit or something. So there's lots of things where he's trying to deal with the issues of his time.
Are there a couple of common traits that you see again and again in successful artists?
I mean, one thing that I really look for is somebody that's willing to take chances and take risks and never quite sit back on their laurels and sit comfortably. I mean, a lot of artists, if they're lucky, hit upon an idea or an image or something that really captivates the audience, that people really get excited about. They want to own it, they want to show it. And the artists that are willing to kind of take that as far as it still gives back to them and then abandon it and move on to the next thing are the brave ones, I think. And those are the ones whose careers end up being more interesting in the long run.
It's certainly not for the faint of heart, so you have to be courageous.
It's true, absolutely.
Do you have any words of advice that you would give to established collectors as well as just young, beginning collectors?
We really try to encourage people to look around what's going on in the city, support the artists in your own city, sniffing around, trusting your eye, seeing as much as you possibly can. A young person with a limited budget, or even an older person with a limited budget, can really go out on a limb and find fantastic things. I think the old adage that you need to love it and not just collect it because somebody told you that it's the newest, hippest thing. I'm always looking for someone that understands what's been done and tries to find what the next breakthrough might be. And that's a little bit harder for people that are new at looking at art, but I think finding something that again challenges you, makes you look at the world differently, those are the kinds of things that make for lasting art.
Well, this has been really insightful. I always find my time at the museum such a treat for me as a way to step away and get some time with myself to be with all the artwork. So thank you very much for taking me through the museum today.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
There's an artist and a creative spirit around every corner, in the few alleyways, and at the Museum of Contemporary Art. Join me on the next episode of Fear No Art as we get into the unique and fascinating world of the independent artist. When you meet an artist, does their personality affect how you feel about their artwork?
It often does. I mean, I try to be as objective as possible, to look at the work and to judge the work on its own terms. If the artist is really charming and you really like them, it can be very difficult to separate yourself from that and to not like the work or to criticize it. And on the other hand, there might be work that you really love, but the artist is a real jerk, and it's hard to kind of get beyond that, you know, so it works both ways.